بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We start chapter 4 of section 10. We said gradual change is called haraka or motion. And in every haraka, we need mabda, or departure point. We need muntaha, destination. We need mutaharrik. We need muharrik. Mutaharrik is the one which is moving. Muharrik is the one who is mover. We have masafa, distance, and time, which is the quantity for haraka. So now, inshallah, in different chapters, we are going to expand on these points. Chapter 4 is about a kind of terminology. It's not very complicated, although the text might be difficult to understand. But if you understand the point, it's not difficult. Haraka is divided into al-haraka at-tawassutiyya and al-haraka al-qat'iyya. Al-qat'iyya. Qat' here doesn't mean yaqeen. In ilm usul, when we say qat', it means certainty, yaqeen. But here qat' means what? Qat'u tariq means to travel, to go through the path. Qat', yeah? Philosophers say sometimes we consider something which is in motion in a gradual process. He is moving, he is journeying, he is traveling. If something is traveling between, for example, point A and point B, at each moment, this is somewhere. Behind him is what he has already passed, and in front of him is what he has not yet passed. Yeah? So in this kind of approach, in this kind of consideration, when you consider something in motion, then that is at each time in particular point has passed something and has not yet gone through the rest. This is called al-harakatul qat'iyya. But sometimes we don't look at it in this way. We say something is between A and B. To be in motion between A and B. We don't break it down. We don't divide it into different moments. Is it clear? Just two ways of considering the same thing. Sometimes your focus is on this going forward. Sometimes your focus is just that this is between A and B. This is called at-tawassutiyya. Tawassut comes from wasat, means between A and B. That's it. Is it clear? Maybe this example also helps you. When we say about age, umr, in Arabic we say umr, yeah? What do you mean by umr? Sometimes we mean by umr life, means between birth and death. Just you are alive, that's enough. Means you are born and you have not died. But sometimes by umr we mean which a specific point of your life you are in. For example, say I'm 20 years old. I am 40 years old. Means I have already passed these years and still I have something in front. So there are two ways to consider Umrah also. الفصل الرابع في انقسام الحركة إلى توسطية وقطعية. Classification or division of motion into توسطية and قطعية. تعتبر الحركة بمعنيين. حركة can be considered in two ways. One, أحدهما كون الجسم بين المبدأ والمنتهى. The object is between origin and destination. بحيث كل حد فرض في الوسط فهو ليس قبله ولا بعده فيه. Every had, every limit, every point that you consider in the middle, it's not before or after it, because you are looking at it as a whole. To be between A and B, you cannot measure it with these particular points. Is it before that or after that? هو حالة بسيطة. It's a simple condition. ثابتة. It's not changing. To be between A and B. It was 5 minutes ago between A and B. Now it's between A and 5 minutes later it can be between A and B. لا انقسام فيها. It is basit, means لا انقسام فيها. It's not divided. This is called تسمى الحركة التوسطية. This is called حركة التوسطية. Means حركة between two things. But there is a second meaning. وثانيهما الحالة المذكورة. The same condition between Mabda and Muntaha, but حيثية is different. من حيث لها نسبة إلى حدود المسافة. To be between A and B and have a specific relation with every point in this distance. من حد تركها, with respect to something that has left it, has already passed it, حد لم يبلغها, or something which has not yet come. أي إلى قوة تبدلت فعلا, potentiality which has been transformed into actuality because has already passed it. وإلى قوة باقية على حالها بعد, and potentiality which still is there as potentiality has not yet become actual. يريد المتحرك أن يبدلها فعلا. متحرك wants to make it to actuality, but it still has not happened. This type of consideration for haraka, which is what 99.99% of the time, maybe people who study haraka, they think about the second meaning. لازمه الانقسام إلى الأجزاء. It is gradual, therefore it can be divided into parts. والانصرام والتقضي تدريجا. Insiram is expiration. Taqaddi also the same. Because it is gradual, so something which is gradually happening means certain things expire. Certain things are past. كما أنه خروج من القوة إلى الفعل تدريجا. This is also a motion from potentiality to actuality gradually. This is called تسمى الحركة القطعية. This is called حركة قطعية. والمعنيان جميعا موجودان في الخارج. Both, because this is our consideration. There is one haraka in kharaj. You can consider them in two ways. So both of them are in kharaj. لانطباقهما عليه, because both of these apply to kharaj, to the real world, external world, بجميع خصوصياتهما. With all their specifications, they can apply to the external world. We have something also in our imagination. You know, sometimes in your imagination, for example, you have gone from London to Manchester, it has taken you, say, 4 hours. In your mind, you can consider this whole journey of 4 hours at the same time. Sometimes you think about these 4 hours at once. But this has never happened in the real world like this. In the real world, you can never have a journey of 4 hours together, because this is something that happens gradually, and at each point you have only a portion of it. It's like time. Can you have 4 hours together? No. If you remember, we said kam is qarruzat or ghayru qarruzat. Qarruzat means all of it are together. Ghayru qarruzat means something has to expire so that the next part comes. If this doesn't expire, the other part doesn't come. So, if you consider the whole harakah, which took 4 hours, or for example, sometimes you review your life. In your mind, you consider all your life. But this is only in imagination, because all our life didn't exist together. أما الصورة التي يأخذها الخيال من الحركة, the image that our khiyal, yeah, some people translate fantasy, some people say imagination. The image that our imagination or our fantasy takes from harakah, by taking all points in this harakah and putting them together as one connected image, suratan muttasilatan mujtami'ah, one connected surah which has different parts, but it's one together. It took 4 hours, it took 4 years, but you consider these all together, فَهِيَ ذِهْنِيَّةٌ. This surah is not khariji. This is zihni. This can only exist in our mind. لا وجود لها في الخارج. You cannot have 4 hours together in real world. لعدم جواز اجتماع الأجزاء في الحركة, because it's not possible that parts of motion come together, exist together. وإلا, if they existed together, then this is not حركة, it is ثبات. وإلا كان ثباتا لا تغيرا. It would not be change, because we said حركة is gradual change. It has to be gradual change. So it would not be حركة. وقد تبين بذلك أن الحركة. So with this, it becomes also clear that حركة, and of course when we say حركة, we mean most of the time حركة قطعية, ونعني بها القطعية. حركة قطعية is a type of being which is gradual. Why he mentions this, the great Allama Tabatabai Rahmatullah, why he mentions this? Because he wants to say what is the connection with wujud. Because in philosophy we talk about wujud. Why we talk about harakah? Because this type of harakah is a kind of wujud. Wujud sayyal, a type of existence which is not static, is dynamic. It's progressing. So we can say wujud is sometimes progressing and sometimes not. Okay? وقد تبين بذلك أن الحركة ونعني بها القطعية. حركات, and here we mean قطعية. حركة قطعية, not حركة توسطية. نحو وجود سيال is a kind of wujud which is سيال. Sayyal means progressing. Yeah? Sail means flood, but also sala yasilo means flowing. Flowing, yeah? Fluid, you can say, yes. The reason in Arabic they call flood sail, because sail means to flow. Sala yasilo. For tears also we can say yasilo. wujudan sayyal. It's a type of wujud which is flowing. Munqasimin ila ajza, which is divided into parts. Tamtazaju fihi al-quwwatu wal-fi'l. Potentiality and actuality are mixed. Something becomes actual, then another thing which is now potential later becomes actual. Then another thing becomes actual. It goes step by step. بحيث يكون كل جزء مفروزا فيه فعلا لما قبله من الأجزاء. بحيث يكون كل جزء مفروزا فيه فعلا لما قبله من الأجزاء وقوة لما بعده. Every part that you consider, its actuality for what was before it from parts, and potentiality for those parts which come later. وَيَنْتَهِي مِنَ الْجَانِبَيْنِ. From both parts, if you have, for example, haraka for this much, beginning of it is no actuality, it's only potential. End of it is no potentiality, because everything which was potential has become actual, and then it ends. With respect to this, of course, distance. ينتهي من الجانبين إلى قوة. This wujud sayyad, this flowing or fluid being from two parts, two sides, ends with what? From beginning, قوة لا فعل معها. Potentiality without actuality. At the end, فعل لا قوة معه. Actuality without potentiality. Yeah? When all the potentialities become actual, then it finishes. So, this is chapter 4. Now, we go to those 6 elements in haraka. Mabda', muntaha, mawdu' al-haraka, which is mutaharrik, muharrik, masafa, zaman. I repeat them so that you remember them. Yes.
We say that haraka tawassutiyya is just a mental construct, where in the real world it doesn't exist.
It exists.
Can it exist?
2 ways of looking at the real world. Sometimes you look at it as just being between these two, which is then not progressing. Both of them in the real world, just how you consider it. But the third is only your mind. That you consider the gradual one at once. Okay, 5th chapter. في مبدأ الحركة ومنتهاها. The first 2 elements of haraka. Mabda and muntaha. Origin and end or destination. Last point. قد عرفت أن في الحركة انقساما لذاتها. You understood, you learned that haraka, by definition, we said haraka is what? Haraka is something which accepts division. Of course, this is harakat qat'iyya. You can always divide it. For example, it was 4 hours. You can make it 2 hours and 2 hours. You can make 2 hours to 1 hours. 1 hour into half hours. Finally, 1 minute. 1 minute, for example, to 1 second. 1 second into half second. It never reaches the point that you cannot divide. Because as we discussed in Kam, we don't believe in juz' la yatajazza. Any part, even if it is small, still has dimension and can be divided. Maybe we don't have equipments to divide it. But anything which has even very little size, you can consider dividing it. Yeah? فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ هَذَا الْإِنْقِسَامِ لَا يَقِفُ عَلَى حَدٍّ. This possibility to divide it would not stop at any limit. نظير الانقسام الذي في الكميات المتصلة القارة. Although haraka is not qarra, means it's غير قارة, because haraka is like time, all the parts don't exist together. But it is similar to those quantities which are muttasil and qarruzat, like line, khat, sat, space, or hajm. All of them, sat is like level, and hajm is, like three-dimensional. Yeah? You divide one line into two parts, then each part into two parts. Again, it can never end zero. Yeah? Do you accept or not? It's clear in mathematics. Yeah? It never becomes zero. نظير الانقسام الذي في الكميات المتصلة. You remember kam is divided to muttasil and munfasil. Munfasil is adad. Then muttasil is qarruzat, غير qarruzat. Qarruzat, khat, sat, hajm, غير qarruzat, like zaman and zamaniyat. نظير الانقسام الذي في الكميات المتصلة. Like division, accepting division in kam muttasil, quantities which are connected or continuous, and are also qarra. Means all the parts exist together, like khat, sat, and jism. Khat is one dimension, sat is two dimension, jism is three dimension. إذ لو وقف على حد, because if it was going to stop and say we cannot divide it anymore, then it was juz'an la yatajazza. It would be a part which cannot be divided. Philosophers, most of philosophers, all Muslim philosophers, they don't believe in juz'a la yatajazza. وَقَدْ تَقَدَّمَ بُطْلَانُهُ. In the discussion about kam, we talked about this, Jawhar and kam. وَأَيْضًا, another thing, I ask you a question. If there is a line, for example, 10 inch, we said the division never stops, yeah? How many parts you can make it? Endless. You cannot say 2 parts, 10 parts, 100, because it never stops. And these parts are not existing as parts now. You don't have really parts. Now you have one thing. Yanqasim. It's not maqsum. It's not divided. It's divisible. It can be divided. But they are now together. It is very wrong to think that a line is many points. Some people think if you put points together next to each other, it becomes line. But if you put billions of points together, it doesn't become even 1 inch. Because if point is 0, because point has to be 0, yeah, has no size. 1 billion 0 is not becoming anything. So, or for example, if say it's 10 inch, it means 10 1 inches. No. 10 1 inches is 10 lines. It's not one line of 10 inch. These are not actually separately existing. They are together. We just say our mind, when reflects on this, says it can be divided. At the moment, it is one part. وَأَيْضًا هُوَ انْقِسَامٌ بِالْقُوَّةِ لَا بِالْفِعْلِ. This انقسام is بالقوة لا بالفعل. It is potential. It's not actual. إذ لو كان بالفعل بطلت الحركة. Because if this was really separated, there was no possibility of harakah. لانتهاء القسمة إلى أجزاء دفعية الوقوع, because then each of them would be something that starts all of a sudden. Haraka is continuous. It's not like a stop after a stop, a stop after. I don't know if you have noticed, there are some clocks that for the second they stop, then they move to the next point, and there are some that just move. There's a big difference between the two. When they just move and don't stop, it is one haraka. But when they stop and then they move, it's many haraka. It's not one haraka. These are two different things. You understand the difference between a real continuous haraka or many smaller haraka? They are not the same. إذ لو كان بالفعل بطلت الحركة, if these were really divided, these parts existed, then haraka was impossible, was false. Why? Because this division was ending with parts which exist all of a sudden. They are not gradual. Another thing which becomes clear is لا مبدأ للحركة ولا منتهى لها. Please be very careful about this point. We said haraka has mabda and muntaha. Question: is mabda and muntaha part of haraka or limit of haraka? Haraka starts after mabda and ends by reaching muntaha. So mabda itself and muntaha itself are limits or ends, not parts of haraka. Like when you have a line, you have a point at the beginning, a point at the end, but these points are not part of the line because point has no continuity. Point is zero in size. Do you understand? So haraka has mabda and muntaha, but these mabda and muntaha are limits of haraka, not parts of haraka, because they are not gradual. Is it clear? لا مبدأ للحركة ولا منتهى لها بمعنى. What do we mean? Don't say, you yourself said haraka has mabda, haraka has muntaha. Say, let's explain. بمعنى, we mean this. الجزء الأول. Mabda is not the first part of haraka. Mabda is the point which la yanqasim. Mabda cannot be divided. That is the point which is not having any continuity. It cannot be divided by itself. Muntaha is also al-juz'ul akhir, is the last part. They cannot be divided. Why? Because these are daf'i, not tadriji. This happens at a moment. This happens at a moment. You know, like for example, when someone moves towards the wall and hits the wall, moving towards the wall is haraka. But hitting the wall is not haraka, it's end of haraka. You can say it took me 5 minutes to reach the wall, but hitting the wall happens at once. You cannot say I was hitting the wall in 5 seconds, for example. Hitting the wall happens at once. Do you understand? Like death. Preparation for death can take, some time, but you die at once. Either you are dead or not dead. You cannot say, for 5 minutes or 5 hours I was dying. Do you understand my point? لما عرفت آنفا, because of what you have understood just now, and above, أن الجزء بهذا المعنى دفعي الوقوع غير تدريجية, because part in this sense at the beginning and the end is دفعي الوقوع. دفعي الوقوع, what does it mean? Means instant. It's instant, yeah, all of a sudden. غير تدريجية, not gradual. فلا ينطبق عليه حد الحركة. So the definition of حركة would not apply to it, because حركة is تدريجية الذات. لأن الحركة تدريجية الذات. So حركة would not apply to مبدأ and منتهى. أما ما تقدم أن الحركة, what we said just today also in chapter 4, we said حركة has two sides. Beginning was قوة لا فعل مع potentiality without actuality. At the end, actuality without potentiality. Yes? But these are not parts of حركة. These are sides of حركة. Because قوة without فعلية, there is no حركة. فعلية without قوة, no حركة. These were two sides, limits. أما ما تقدم أن الحركة تنتهي من الجانبين إلى قوة لا فعل معها وفعل لا قوة معه, فهو تحديد لها مثل الحركة بالخارج من ذاتها, means من ذات الحركة. What was said before, end of chapter 4, that حركة ends from two sides with potentiality without actuality and actuality without potentiality. This was defining haraka from outside. These are two sides of haraka, means two ends, two borders. Yeah? Two borders. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we finished chapter 5. Then we have to talk about mutaharrik, the subject which is moving, and then muharrik, the mover, the one which creates motion. But I think might be enough this much. Is it enough? Or we should continue? I am fine. Maybe a little bit of it at least. Yeah? Is okay? Okay, thank you very much. 6th chapter, في موضوع الحركة, about the subject of حركة. What do we mean by subject? وهو المتحرك, the one which is moving. الذي يلتبس or يتلبس بها, يتلبس, the one that takes on حركة. It can be a person who is walking. It can be an apple which is becoming ripe or sweet or red. The change can be in color, the change can be in taste, the change can be in size. For example, a child is growing. Yeah, there can be many types of haraka. You need something to move. Okay? So one of those 6 points is متحرك or موضوع الحركة. قد عرفت أن الحركة خروج الشيء من القوة إلى الفعل تدريجا. You learned that haraka is moving of something from potentiality to actuality gradually. Okay, this potentiality should exist for something that little by little progresses. So you need something to be carrying this potentiality and then actualities that come afterwards. إن أن هذه القوة يجب أن تكون محمولة في أمر جوهري قائمة به. This potentiality must be carried in something substantial that this قوة depends on it. Color of apple is changing. Taste of apple is changing. Or for example, distance, location of a person is changing. Size of a child is changing. So these are dependent on that child or that apple. There must be a substance that has this potentiality and then actuality. Okay? So this quwwah must be carried in something jawhari, substantial, that this quwwah depends on it, is relying on it. هذا الذي بالقوة. This thing which is potential, كمال بالقوة للمادة. It's a potential perfection for that matter. متحد معها means مع المادة. This قوة, potentiality and madde, they are united. فإذا تبدلت القوة فعلا. When this potentiality becomes actual, that actuality exists with madde. Apple was not yet sweet, was potentially sweet. Potentiality of sweetness is with apple. Then actuality of sweetness exists with apple when it has become really sweet. فَإِذَا تَبَدَّلَتِ الْقُوَّةُ فِعْلًا. When that potentiality becomes actuality, كَانَ الْفِعْلُ مُتَّحِدًا مَعَ الْمَادَّةِ. Then this time actuality is united with madde مَكَانَ الْقُوَّةِ instead of that قُوَّة. فَمَادَّةُ الْمَاءِ. Another example. You have water. This water is steam, hawa, air, potentially. Yeah, water is liquid, potentially a steam. Or you have al-jismul hamid, something which is sour, like grape, for example. It's sour, but hulwun bil-quwwa. It's sweet potentially. فَإِذَا تَبَدَّلَ الْمَاءُ هَوَاءً. When water becomes steam, وَالْحُمُوذَةُ حَلَاوَةً, and sourness becomes sweetness, that matter which was in water now is what? It's mutalabbisa bil hawaiya. Now it has taken to be steam. Or that sour thing now has taken on the actuality of sweetness, halawa. فَفِي كُلِّ حَرَكَةٍ مَوْزُوعٌ. So in every motion there is a subject, تَنْعَتُهُ الْحَرَكَةِ, which that motion describes it. Haraka is the quality of it, or it's a condition of it. وَتَجْرِي عَلَيْهِ. حركة تجري على ذاك الموضوع. Haraka happens to that subject. Question. Do we need a fixed subject for haraka in the sense that a common subject or not? For example, a car is going from here to another town. A child is growing. An apple is becoming ripe. So you have something, the same thing, going through different conditions. Yeah? You cannot have an apple which is sour and then an orange which is sweet, and they say this is the same haraka. Is it clear? يجب أن يكون موضوع الحركة أمرا ثابتا تجري وتتجدد عليه الحركة. The subject of haraka should be something which is ثابت, but haraka happens to it. So you need the same subject to which haraka belongs. Yeah? وَإِلَّا. If it is not the same subject, then what was potential and what has become actual would not be the same thing. وَإِلَّا كَانَ مَا بِالْقُوَّةِ غَيْرَ مَا يَخْرُجُ إِلَى الْفِعْلِ. The one which was potential and the one which has become actual would not be the same. فَلَمْ تَتَحَقَّقِ الْحَرَكَةِ. Then haraka has not happened. What is haraka? التي هي خروج الشيء من القوة إلى الفعل تدريجا. So you must have shay, something, The same remains, but it changes. But it has to be a same thing, yeah? The same apple, the same person, the same car that is going from one point to another point. Finally, موضوع الحركة should be something that can have potentiality. If something is 100% free from potentiality, what does it mean? It means 100% actual. Yeah? If something is 100% actual, it has no haraka. Like mujarradat tam. Those things which are fully abstract, fully immaterial, they don't have change. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have change. Allah doesn't have haraka. Okay? Change is for something which has potentiality, which is not yet actualized. Something which can become better or worse. But if something is perfect, or as much as it can progress has been already made in that way, there is no haraka in it. يجب أن لا يكون موضوع الحركة أمرا بالفعل من كل جهة. The subject of haraka, which means mutaharrik, should not be something that from every aspect is بالفعل, is actual. كالعقل المجرد. عقل المجرد is different from human intellect. What do we mean by عقل مجرد? One of those 5 types of jawhar. Remember we said jawhar is عقل, nafs, jism, madde, surat. That عقل is different from عقل for human beings. That is عقل that, for example, Mashaun said there are 10 عقل. عقول عشرة. Okay? So that عقل مجرد doesn't have any potentiality, therefore doesn't have any haraka. إذ لا حركة إلا مع قوة ما. Because there is no haraka except with some kind of potentiality. فما لا قوة فيه فلا حركة له. Something which has no potentiality has no haraka. Also, on the other hand, if something is 100% potentiality, this cannot have haraka because such a thing doesn't exist. Yeah, if something is 100% potentiality, ولا أن يكون بالقوة means يجب ألا يكون بالقوة من جميع الجهات. It should not be potential from every aspect. Means 100% is potential. إذ لا وجود لما هو كذلك. Because something which is 100% potential, it doesn't exist. بل أمرا بالقوة من جهة وبالفعل من جهة. What you need for haraka is something that has potentiality with respect to something or some things, and actuality with respect to something or some things. Some potentiality or potentialities, some actuality or actualities, not 100% actuality and not 100% potentiality. كالمادة الأولى التي لها قوة الأشياء. The prime matter, hayula, which is potentiality for all the element objects, but it has fi'liya. What is its fi'liya? أنها بالقوة. If you remember, I said before that according to Misbah, he doesn't accept this. He says this is more poetic. Something that its actuality is that it is potential. So, if something is 100% potential, it doesn't exist. So, madde ula cannot exist by its own. Yes, madde ula exists, but always with at least one surah, one form, one actuality. وَكَالْجِسْمِ الَّذِي هُوَ مَادَّةٌ ثَانِيَةٌ لَهَا. When jism belongs to madde ula, then this jism can become madde thaniya. Because any madde can then accept more surah. Madde ula is the very first one. Anything Above that, we call it Saniya. Saniya doesn't mean opposite to 3 or 4. Anything opposite to 1 is Saniya. Like, Ma'gulat Ula, Ma'gulat Thaniya. We don't have Ma'gulat Salisa, Ma'gulat Rabi. Anything which is not Ula is Thaniya. So, Madde Ula takes the form of Surat Jasmiya, becomes Jasm. Then Jasm can become tree, can become stone. So Jasm by itself become Madde for further forms. كالجسم الذي هو مادة ثانية. It's secondary matter. لها قوة الصور النوعية. It has the potentiality for forms of different elements and species. والأعراض المختلفة. It can also take different accidents. وفعلية الجسمية وبعض الصور النوعية. It can take the actuality of jasm and some form, like becomes a stone, becomes wood, becomes water, and so on and so forth. So, alhamdulillah, we talked about mabda' al-haraka, muntaha al-haraka, mawzu' al-haraka. The next thing is about mover, muharrak, the one that creates motion, and then about masafa, and then about zaman, about time. So these are few things that, inshallah, each of them has different chapters. We ask Allah to give us tawfiq, inshallah, to continue and complete the book, and inshallah also understand, but also to benefit from these things in development of our thinking and understanding, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin.